All right, Nick, thank you for joining me. How do I look?
Hello. You look wonderful.
No, but I ask you because I'm standing here at a desk. Do you know what I'm doing, Nick? Is I'm doing the independent journalism thing, and I don't know if anyone's even going to see the video from this today. But I'm implementing all this new tech, so I thought I'd try something a little different. So I'm using the AirPod actually. How do I sound? Forget how do I look. How do I sound?
You sound fine. I'm flattered that at least I am the one that may get to be the only person to see this. So thank you for
Well,
that.
I may extrapolate a clip. So the first thing I want to talk to you about, and I didn't really talk to you about this yet, so forgive me if I'm scratching below the surface. But you were telling me something about a conversation you were having with your dad about how he was kind of pushing you kind of to the edge with certain things you disagree on in terms of politics and whatnot. And I guess I'll hand it off to you, but I guess you were like trying to like set up a formal debate with your dad.
Well, yeah. So Dad and I,
The sound of
yeah.
defeat already. I'm just gonna sit. Oh, I'm standing. I'm gonna stand back and go.
Yeah, well, I mean, he and I see differently on many things. Dad is a boomer and is old. And so yeah, it's very frustrating because he doesn't I don't if anyone were you and you know my dad and everyone's like your father's the nicest guy, he'll give you his shirt off your back if he'll help anyone that needs help. So like at least let me start with that. Like my dad's amazing, he will help anybody. He doesn't, that doesn't change. That will never change as far as who he actually is. But, and I can't tell if he likes to push buttons or just doesn't want to understand it. But as far as like politics and just like the overall worldview of things, doesn't get it. And I'm sure if anyone that is listening to me say this might be like, oh, Nick's woke. Look, I'm not woke, but I also think.
He literally just got up.
Well, that's true too. I'm still sipping coffee. But it's
And
like,
it's like 3 o'clock. But okay, go on.
shut, don't tell people that. We sprung forward. It's normally like 2 o'clock for me. So,
Yeah, that helps.
but yeah, like, so my view is just people need to be treated like people no matter what, more like a humanistic view. But his, I guess, view or understanding of it just always baffles my mind. And he'll, he's not good at using other sources to get information other than cable news, which we all know overall is entertainment and, in my opinion, agenda pushing. And manipulation. So he's definitely been manipulated. And he doesn't like it when I call him out either. When I tell him, Dad, you're being dog whistled or you're being gaslit, he gets upset. I'm like, yeah, it sucks when you actually learn what's going on. But that's a whole nother story. But so we'll come up with, or we start talking about different topics, and some of the things he said, I'm like, or some of the things he will say are just so not true. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Like, and I tell him that. I'm like, Dad, what you're saying is not true or accurate. Like you are repeating what you've heard from people who lie to you. And he doesn't like that. And then I say, go look it up. Well, and my dad, he'll bounce all over the place. You try and have a conversation with him about any of this stuff, and he has his talking points. Literally, it's just like he has his Rolodex of talking points, and he just bounces from one to the other. So you can't even explain to him what's going on. And I get that. I mean, I have ADD, and it's hard for me to pay attention. It's hard for him to pay attention. I guess it's genetic.
But wait a second. So you're really going to debate him?
Well, so here's the thing. The other day we were talking, and we were talking about Ukraine. I mean, I'm not going to go into the actual debate of that, but I was trying to explain to him why the U.S. was giving them money, and he's going on about, oh, we don't know where it's going. Again, blah, 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 blah. It's snowballing. And I'm like, Dad, you're wrong. Like, this is just not. You're not giving me any actual facts or information that is true. And so we ended up coming to this conclusion of, all right, we'll each come up with a topic and we'll talk about the topics. Not even necessarily talk, but we at least have the ability to research and get information from whatever sources we want that we can then bring to the table to talk about the topic. And I said to him, I'm like, Dad, I try and do that with you all the time when we're talking. When we're talking and I pull out my phone and you get mad, it's not because I'm distracted texting friends. It's because I'm fact checking you and finding out that you are wrong again. So he wants to do this like debate thing. Again, perfectly fine. I'm down for it. And then I found we
But
didn't, we didn't
okay,
necessarily.
wait. I think you skipped something. So this was
Uh-oh.
his idea.
Yeah, more or less. It was more his, and I kind of succumbed to it. Because, again, this was something that when he and I, or especially when I'm visiting, when he and I have these discussions, I am fact checking him. I am pulling up the information, but he's so ADD and all over the place. It may be dementia, I don't know, but he's so all over the place, he can't focus on one thing. And if you say, we're talking about Ukraine, then you start talking about gas price, like with the gas, and we're whatever, like however we import grain from Ukraine, and then if you say that, then he goes on a
Grain
tangent
from
about
Ukraine.
then he'll go on a tangent about farmers, and I'm like, Dad, stay on topic. So anyway, I
So
think this
wait.
is.
So does he? So he. I got to just understand. I got to break this down for a second.
Oh yeah, it's a good luck.
So he comes to you and he's like, maybe we should come together with our talking points. And yeah, like really,
My
like
dad doesn't sound like that, Royce.
I know that's like Howard's dad. I apologize, but it's a fun voice. But
Dad's Italian. He talks like this. No,
yeah, but
not
so
at all.
hey, Nikki, maybe you come with your talking. No, but like I know your dad. So he's like, well, why don't you come with your talking points and I'll come with my talking points and we'll set a time to really get into this, like that kind of thing.
Basically, or more of like an email debate, because at least that way we can, in a way, like cite some of our sources and put the articles out there, and it's not coming out of our mouth; it's coming from someone else's,
What,
and
what
like just put it together. Hey, I'm retired. I got plenty of time.
and so is,
and so is he. I'm half his age and retired, but so I sent him an email about something from Ukraine, basically stating from like one of the reasons why we give them money is because of the I forget the exact name of it, but like the nuclear arms deal in a way we did with them in '94, basically them saying, okay, we will no longer have any type of nuclear weapons, but in return, it's like we are protecting you. And I sent him that information, and then within like 12 hours, I had 7 different emails of random articles. And just from the headlines of the emails, I was like, this isn't going to go well. Like, it's so tough. And like, when we get into these debates, literally, I'm like cursing at him. Like, I'm calling him an idiot and stupid and using other words. Oh, yeah, to his face.
oh,
And I tell him, like, I don't understand how dumb you can be in a way. And it's just like, or I'll just say his point, like, Dad, that is effing stupid. That does logically, politically,
but how does that help,
ethically,
man? How does that help?
well, I don't know, which is why I'm kind of wanting to give up on the damn topic of debating him, because he can't understand, he doesn't know where to find, and he doesn't know how to use the information he's gathered.
So in the world of news and cable news and journalism, this would be called burying the headline. Because so you quit before the first debate.
We haven't necessarily debated yet, but again, looking at the emails he sent me after what I sent him, I'm just like, oh boy. And it's all just like forwarded random things and stuff. And
It's tough. It's tough because now you're asking, not you, he is asking for you to indulge things out of the gate. And I don't even know what you're talking about, but I think this is just a common problem. I mean, I know what you're talking about because we've talked privately, but for the sake of this conversation, the specificity doesn't even matter. There's this thing going on in our culture where ideas are being presented that have no validity, and it's because you're like, I don't want to engage with these ideas because they're just preposterous, that suddenly now you don't want to consider something, and that might be a conspiracy. And it's like, no, you're bringing really bad ideas to the table that don't warrant my time. Do your homework first.
Yeah, and that's been my thing the whole time. Like, I mean, I think I told you. I mean, I know you know this. I don't know if others know. Like when I got hurt with work years ago, I went. Thankfully, my parents are able-bodied enough they were able to take care of me because I lived in a third-story walk-up. There's no way I could have survived or done that. It would have not ended well. So I went up to my folks. They live up in Connecticut. I went up there to live with them for like 6 months as a 40-year-old, and that was just like pulling my hair out. It was nuts. But again, it showed me, and I was able to witness where he is getting his information or lack thereof, or where he's getting his thoughts from and how he's implementing that. And it's just clear to me he does not know. And I think that generation in general just does not know how to vet or believe what they hear. And I get that, rightly so. There's a lot of garbage information out there, but like I realize you could give him or anyone, I think, in that generation or almost of that ideology or beliefs, or if that's the way you're leaning, you could give them 10 articles that basically say the same thing in so many different ways, and they still can't understand. And again, I guess it's kind of like blind faith in a way. Like they have their views, they want to believe in them, and they will not accept basically fact. And one of the things I was telling to you before we, or one of the things, we were talking about before we started recording was like, I think my dad's just stupid. And then I referred to this one article. I mean, it's just like,
well, what are the options?
I mean, but right. So if you want to go around life with your head buried in the sand, that's fine. But that's just
maybe your dad's just an ostrich. Did you ever think about that?
Nah, I mean, no, he's more like a toucan with the size of his nose. And I can say that because I have his nose. I'm allowed to say that, by the way. Dad, I love you. I really do, Dad. No, he always asks, he's like, oh, where could I listen? And he can't figure out even how to find your podcast. So you're right. He's
perfect.
He would like to listen, but he can't figure out that damn.
I still remember that moment in your kitchen in the 3rd grade where you threatened to beat me, and I'll never let you live it down. Go on, Nick.
He probably should have. But anyway.
He was in the right. I just don't.
Yeah. But anyway, so like when I was talking about, like, I said, like, I think my dad's just stupid. And you said something, but it brought me back to this one article.
By the way, I don't mean to on-air produce. Can I just for 2 seconds? I know you don't like when I on-air produce, but you're clipping.
Oh, dear. Sure, let me adjust my gain.
Nick doesn't like when I on-air produce. I personally love to on-air produce because it's inside baseball, and most people won't do it. They'd cut it out. But I just hear a little crunching in my headphones, and I'm sure it's coming through.
On air is fine. I mean, I don't like this type of stuff is fine. Is this better? Check 1, 2.
So far, you sound lovely.
Thank you. All right, cool.
So you were saying your father's stupid.
Yeah. Right. Dad's dumb. Anyway, so I was saying. Yeah, jot that down. So I said to you, Royce, I was like, I think my dad's just dumb. And again, I say that to him, but someone posted a thing online, and of course, it's a post, take it as you will. And there's no headline for an article that's easy to find, but basically it's saying like, why do liberals think Trump supporters are stupid? And I'm not saying if you support him, that's fine. I am not saying you're stupid, but it's just an article, and I like to call my dad stupid because he's my dad. It's that kind of thing. But at the very bottom of the article, to me, it kind of like sums everything up. And
still clipping.
Damn it. I could maybe EQ it. No, that'll take too long. I'll drop the gain a bit.
Yeah, I don't care if it's lower in my ear as long as,
Well, I'm looking at the gain structure and signal I'm giving you, so that's my concern. In case you didn't know, people, I know audio. Those are one of the things that I do. So you're talking. Don't mind our technical terms.
No, but just to kind of keep the ball in the air.
Right.
So you're.
I got it. So anyway, this article gives a lot of facts. Again, these are facts you cannot debate. And these are things that my dad questions. It's like, did Russia invade Ukraine? Yes. Well, I really don't. No, Dad, you're stupid. They did.
What does he think?
I don't know. And honestly, that's not the best example, but that's something.
That's a great example. Well, no, wait a second.
It's like,
That's a
we
black
haven't
and
had
white
that
issue.
conversation. Right.
Hold on, I
We
know, but
haven't
hold
had
on,
that,
hold on. But do people debate that issue?
I mean, Trump just said it the other day in the White House in the
What did he say?
when he was meeting with Zelensky and Vance.
Yeah, but he didn't say.
Well, he alluded to basically Ukraine like provoked it or something. But either way, but like you said, it's a black and white issue. It can't be debated. And he, for some reason, likes to debate this stuff. And that's when I call him stupid and dumb. But at the end of this article or this comment, it was written by, I see, an Adam Troy Castro. But basically it says, because if you're not stupid, we must turn to other explanations. And most of them are less flattering. And it's like going back to this online emailing debate that my dad and I have been talking about. I'm like, before it even starts, I think like I have to stop it. And that's going to be my line, because I really hope my dad is just stupid, because the other explanations, are very less flattering. And are honestly just scared to be like, my dad thinks what? And again, he is not anything bad. My dad is harmless. But at the same time, it just makes you think like, what happened to that generation, or just.
I do not. The one thing I got to say is I do not believe with the notion. I don't fully go along with the notion that it's just that generation, because I see it coming up from the younger generation as well in a very big way. But let me just jump in for 1 second on this. So the thought is, you can either be stupid or a racist, is what this article is basically saying.
I mean,
To be a Trump supporter,
not racist. It's,
there's other flavors.
I mean, yeah, you could be anti-Semitic, you could be homophobic, you could be
An arsonist.
You could, well, yeah. I mean, again, it's basically, a stupid is a nice way of sugarcoating like the BS or what could potentially really be behind that person's face.
So, but see, here's where I push back. All right, and I understand that part of it's a discovery process to figure out, like within the context of your own family, where the political division lay and how you arrived at it, right? But just kind of pulling back, it's disingenuous to structure an argument that way, because a lot of people don't vote on issues that correlate to race or identity politics. They vote on economics and they vote on their self-interest. In fact, most people vote on self-interest. It's just known. Okay. And you can go look it up and do your own research, but look at how people vote. They vote on what matters to them. And I think the problem with the argument that there is no other answer is that it removes the complete idea that maybe people are voting for change. Change is usually what wins an election. And I think if you just look at it through the perspective of all of the media is a mess, and people ultimately want the same thing, but they're being fed different narratives which form different opinions, and irrespective of those arguments, everybody wants the same thing. Okay? So we're living in this world where everybody wants the same thing, and the fighting isn't even about how we get there anymore, which is policy. The fighting, it just comes down to core beliefs. You are right and I am wrong. I don't want to discuss it any further. So the idea that you can remove yourself from the argument, when at the end of the day, I think that the real problem isn't so much debating the Ukraine or any singular issue. The real problem is that people who elected Donald Trump this cycle, much like anybody who goes and votes for anybody who is the opposite of the last person in office, wants change. And their definition of change goes back again to their own self-interest. So I just think it's a little harsh to say you can only be a racist or whatever version of bigot you want to choose, or you're stupid. It's quite possible that you're holding on to hope and change, which sounds a lot like Barack Obama, but there's a lot of reasons Barack Obama got a lot of those votes, and the Democrats lost them subsequently.
Sure. The way you said that was very good, and it made me think. An Easter or two ago, before the election, I was at my family's house. My sister was there, and again, my dad was going on this diatribe and of just random nonsense. And basically, what he was summing it up and saying how he's voting, just like you said, his own self-interests and his financial interests. And like we were talking about that, and I literally said to him, I'm like, Dad, you have shit morals. Sorry but like literally, I said to him, you have shit morals if you are voting on your money versus people and rights and freedoms. At least, again, that's my opinion, but that's why we.
But who are you? I mean, I know he's your father, but putting that aside, let's just pretend like it's not your father we're talking about. Who are you to judge his morals? Oh, ooh, what was that?
I don't know.
Did you just smack something on the desk?
Not at all. My hands
Wild. I just got a peek so no, but what I'm saying is that the moral superiority thing is where the Democrats are losing. Why not structure the argument with your father based around his own self-interest? Because there's an argument that you can easily win there. Look at the stock market. Why not just turn around to your father and go, here you go, here's my argument. The market is in the toilet.
I have tried. He does to him. This is normal. Oh, it'll recover. It's okay. This is
right. So then you go, but then you go, okay. So let's put a pin in this conversation for when it recovers, and we'll pick up there.
Right. Well, again, he'll forget, or never mind. What else?
That's the other problem.
Who knows what may happen in the next 4 years? I was going to say something bad, not bad, but anyway.
This country has selective memory, Nick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know, and that's the thing. Like you said, you weren't even talking about the economics of all of this too. Like that was the next thing I was going to bring up. I don't know if you want to get to that yet.
Whatever you want to talk about, man.
Cool. Oh, it's my day.
I want to make sure we get to the ads, but go on.
But yeah, so like again, I told my dad his morals I think are garbage, and I would say that honestly to anyone who's voting that way. I'm sorry if that's your opinion. That's my opinion.
Nick's father, stupid, lacking morals. Is there a third? Is there a third?
Don't forget with big nose, toucan nose.
Hook nose. Okay.
It's not hook, no. But anyway,
that's where we lose it.
Yeah.
Absurd. But I got to find the comedy in it because this is what's tearing families apart, though, Nick.
Well, that's a tough thing too. It's like if people are learning what true unconditional love, it's just like I'm really learning that lesson. It's just like my parents love me, and I know that, I will never debate. But at the same time, it's like. And I tell them, too, I'm like, the choices you are making, the people who you are voting for, and the things that are happening are not going to affect you. You're going to be dead by then. And I was like, I hate to say it, but it's the honest to God truth.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Your parents love you, right?
I said that. Yep.
Yeah, I know you said that. Do you think that they love themselves?
Whoa. I think in a good way, not like a egotistic or whatever. Of course, I think they love themselves, but also I don't think they understand the implications of some of their choices and the long-term effects, if that makes sense.
But I think that correlates to self-love and introspection. And the reason I ask that question is I think that is a generational issue. And I think your parents, much like my parents, come from a generation where the idea of sitting down on a couch and talking to somebody about your feelings is just not something you do. Oh. So I think it's very hard for someone like your father to be introspective.
Yes, that is a very fair statement. Thank you. But
that's what I'm here for. Yeah. By the way, can I tell you about the great deals you can get on Pampered Chef, or do you want to wait? You doing a little bit?
No, I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about cooking. So go ahead.
Well, no, it's just that it's always a great time to spice up your kitchen. And Pampered Chef has all the goodies from amazing pots and pans, mandolins, not the kind you're thinking, Nick's dad. And knives too, Nick. Those are the knives you're thinking, Nick. But Colleen, don't sell any of those to Nick. Plus, they've got small appliances. This is the kind of stuff I love. Deluxe air fryers, coffee makers. Spice up your kitchen today. Go check out Colleen Herman, pamperedchef.com/PWS Colleen Herman. That's pamperedchef.com/PWS/Colleen Herman. And with no estate plan, you could be leaving those you love the most with high taxes, probate fees, an incomplete or divided estate, and legal fights and fees. If you live in Florida, contact RK Law for a free consultation to discuss the options and tools you have available to protect your home, savings, and estate. For those you love the most, to get started, to send an email to russell@rklawpro.com. Nick, that's russell@rklawpro.com, or call 786-566-2456. And let me tell you about the deal you can get on a 3D printer when you visit my friends at flashforge.com. Flashforge is the leader in 3D printers, and they are more affordable, more accessible than ever. Go to Flashforge. We have a promo code coming soon. We have a giveaway coming soon. Flashforge.com. 3D printers starting as low as $300. And while you're online, go to Etsy. Put that into your browser. Check out the Theme Park Factory. Take home some of our 3D printed tchotchkes or some of the other things like a Joe Coconut plush over at the Theme Park Factory and support this podcast directly. Back to you, Nick.
Hey, we're back. Yeah, we're back. All right.
All that time and you didn't take a deep sigh?
No. I want everyone to hear this. Everyone, like, inhale and out. Let it go. All right, back to the economy.
Oh, sorry.
All right, Royce, I have a quiz for you.
Boy.
No, this is do you know what? If you heard the letters BEC, what does that mean to you?
CEC?
B.
Oh.
B as in boy, E as in Edward, C as in Charlie, with a period in between. BEC.
CEC would be Chuck E. Cheese. That's where I thought we were going.
No.
Charles. I think it's Xavier.
We're not going Zulu letters. It's just straight up.
Whoa. Listen, BEC?
BEC.
I know BCE.
Nope.
I don't know BEC. Help me out. What is it? Is it economics?
It is a sandwich.
What? Okay, so it's okay. Wait a second.
Yep.
Bacon.
One of them.
It's bacon, eel, and cucumber. What about it?
Oh no. Bodegas in the city sell them all the time. It's a bodega staple in New York.
Okay, is bacon correct?
Yes, I said that. You got yes, bacon.
And what is it again? What is it called? A B what? BEC?
Yes.
Well, it's not bacon, egg, and cheese.
Yeah. What do you mean it's not? That's like a New York staple, bacon, egg, and cheese.
So all of this coding for a bacon, egg, and cheese?
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen the articles. They're cooking up like great.
Well, not anymore, but yeah, in New York City, you go to a bodega, you walk into the bodega, you tell the grill guy, give me bacon, egg, and cheese. They fry it up in 2 minutes. They put it on a Kaiser roll, wrap it in tin foil. You get your cup of coffee, and you're out the door at under $5. Breakfast is served. You eat that on the way to work. It's great. But as we all know, egg prices are up, and there's a news article the other day where a bodega was using liquid eggs, kind of like egg beaters or whatever. Mm-hmm. Apparently they were cheaper than regular eggs. And it was interesting. Like, they were interviewing different people on the street. Like, how do you feel about liquid eggs versus real eggs? And some of them are, oh, it's great. They're thinking of alternatives to help pass some savings on to the customers. Some people are saying, no, they got to crack the eggs. It's got to be real. But that kind of led me to think about just in general the economy. Because as of right now, we all know egg prices are like the hot topic. And they have gone up, from what I have found, over 50% over the past year. And right now, the national average for price of eggs is $4.95, basically $5. I have seen eggs in the city as high as a dozen, or not a dozen, eggs are a dozen, for as high as $10 a dozen, if not higher. It's crazy. And
crazy.
I don't know what it's like for you in Florida, but they'll have signs where it's like 1 dozen per customer per day, or this. And like, my grocery store has 0 eggs on the shelf. 0.
Yeah.
The only thing that's there are the vegan eggs, which is great for me because I'm vegan. But
I have chickens, so I don't really look.
Oh, you're doing that maneuver. That's smart. I haven't heard.
They also cut the lawn. What I do is I keep them in a pen, and it's got wheels on the bottom, so they roam around and they do the egg thing and they eat the lawn and they keep it fresh. It's great.
Right. But like I said, I just wanted to we kind of wrapped up the last conversation about economy and especially my dad thinking, "Oh, well, I'm voting more because of my wallet than anything else." And it's like, well, the economy is in the tank right now. I don't know, the Dow Jones and S&P, as we are currently talking, is way down. Like, I have a crypto portfolio and I'm down over 30% right now from my
Whoa.
high. Yeah. I mean, and that's like the cost of a very expensive car, I will tell you that. And
So,
in the
but
last hour, it went down like $3,500.
yeah, but whenever people are listening to this, it'll probably be down even more.
Right.
The I'm joking about the chickens. The reason I made that joke is because Stephanie and I had talked about that at one point with the space that we had in Reseda. This is years ago.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
I remember hearing your neighbor's chickens cockle-doodle-doo in the morning.
well, yeah, because so the area in Reseda that we're talking about was actually called Reseda Ranch. So there was chickens and roosters and horses and all that, and that area you could do that. So anyway, and I don't know how that works in terms of where you can and can't do that. However, in the Walmart that I go to, I want to say the last time I looked the other day, eggs were like $6-7.
Oh,
You know, but here's the thing. I mean, they were all wiped out, so people are paying it.
oh, no, it's crazy. And even I know like Waffle House, which is like a staple in the South
Yeah,
and Southwest of this country. I know there was a news thing about them having to charge, I don't know, an extra dollar or 50 cents per egg, depending on what you ordered. So if your breakfast was $10 and came with 2 eggs, you're adding another dollar or two to that.
I thought it was just a flat surplus, not per
I,
egg.
I, I could be wrong, but either way, they're raising prices, and it's like,
Tune in next week. Nickel is going to do a live hit from the Waffle House, and we'll get the end. Look, I think what happens here, Nick, is the underlying response to anything. I'm choosing my words carefully. The underlying response that you get from most folks who voted for Donald Trump right now is going to be trust the process.
that's what my
Okay.
dad says.
Right? Trust the process. So he does say that, right?
I mean, not verbatim, but literally, he's like, "Well, let's give it a shot. It's a business." I'm like, "Oh,
Oh, and even Trump, you'll hear him say business accidentally in cabinet meetings instead of
okay,
country.
yeah,
He'll say company. Anyway, I would suggest that at some point the cracks are going to start to show in the real areas of interest. One being the prices and the economics, all the economics, right? And the other one's going to be in terms of the law, right? So I think it's a matter of time, and I'll get back to the law in a second. But I think what's going to happen is people are going to slowly see that we're not rebounding, and then they're going to have to come up with another answer. That's where people are going to start to peel off and go back to the Democrats. But the Democrats need to be welcoming, and if you're vilifying today, it's going to be very disingenuous when you're trying to welcome them later. Okay. So I think we have to be a little realistic about this. The people who are in the middle who actually decide elections, okay, are the people that you really need to focus on, not those extreme people that aren't going to make the move anyway. And I say this as an independent. Okay. But I think the economics is one thing. And I'll be curious to see what happens when the market isn't rebounding. I mean, Trump has already gone back and forth in tariffs. So it'll be interesting to see what the narrative becomes when the market starts to show that it's not rebounding. Okay. And we're already, a week into it and it's already worse?
and I mean, grocery prices are not going down,
Correct.
right? Like we're not saving money. It's
But
everything.
I think the other, but I think the other part of it, Nick, is not to get conspiratorial, and I don't want to get conspiratorial, but I do want to be factual. There are a lot of people on the right who voted because they wanted to see things like JFK files and the Epstein files be released. And that isn't happening. Okay? The Epstein files are never going to come out in any meaningful way. All right? And you already see cracks with the folks like the Laura Loomers, okay, and others who are like, where are and they're coming for Pam Bondi, they're not coming for Trump. But there are things that people on the right care about. If we're talking about the ultra right, because there's two pieces to that, right? There's the things like, I think, like the economics, which will trigger the swing voters. But then there's the piece of the pie where there's those super staunch folks on the right who are voting for things like that. Like, I want the truth, and I want the Epstein files. And there's a lot of people that voted for that. And there's a reason why they put all those influencers out there with those binders and did that dog and pony show. All right, because they're speaking to people, but you're never going to get that truth. And there's going to be a reckoning for a whole bunch of people when they realize that the truth that they're looking for isn't the truth that they think is there. Okay, and that's a podcast for a different day, and I'm not being cryptic because you and I have had these conversations.
Yeah.
But I'll be curious to see where that break happens. It's already started. And then on top of that, you got to look at where these extreme party sides start to line up together. And I don't want to get ahead of you and where you're talking about, but there's a lot going on right now where you can attribute both the extreme left and the extreme right to you can their narratives are starting to line up very, very smoothly. So it'll be curious to see. The problem is the Democrats don't have a response. They don't know how to be human beings. They sat on their hands when we were talking when the State of the Union has put it in the spotlight on a child who's fighting cancer. There's no reason to protest in that moment.
I don't think, did they protest it? I mean,
they did not stand up.
I didn't know that.
You stand up and you applaud that child.
Oh,
and
I agree. The camera shots I saw did not show it, so I mean, whatever. But I believe you. I'm not debating that.
And I'm going to say the same thing to you that I wrote in an article, because more people are going to hear me say it here than they are going to read the article on Substack. You have a lot of people, a lot of women of color on the left who would attribute the phrase soul sister to themselves. They're a soldier. They're a soul sister. But you didn't stand up and I'm not even going to bring the child's race into the equation because it doesn't factor in, but it's there. Okay. You can't stand up for a child fighting cancer and possibly for a moment put your politics aside. That's why you've lost people. And my question to you then, soul sisters, is where is your soul? Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that's a different. Yeah.
It's the same conversation.
No. I get it. What I was to say, though, is like, as far as the extremes on both sides and the conspiracy theories, and you're right. People voted to find because they want these Epstein files or the JFK. And I'm like, again, my point of view is like, look, or one of my points of view is that's the past. Regardless of what we get or find out, yes, we're going to learn. We potentially could learn more. Very high, rich, wealthy people are creeps, which we already know that.
You're never going to get the Epstein files, Nick.
No, we're never going to get it. But I'm saying, like, we will learn, if we were to actually get them, yes, the rich people are even more creepier and gross than we thought. But at the same time, it's like, how can you vote for someone because listen.
If people are voting for justice, right? And people are voting because they think it's going to bring justice to like the sex trafficking of children. And that's the issue they're choosing to vote on, then so be it. It's not an issue that I disagree with, but I guess if that's where you're looking for, that's where your hope is, right? Okay, I guess. I mean, obviously, Jeffrey Epstein, I mean, we can have that conversation too. Obviously, I'm against all of that. I shouldn't even have to say that. But it's interesting to me that people would vote, that would be the wedge issue for them. And I don't know if it's that's the wedge issue per se, or if it's the overarching idea of justice, which I can understand. But that's going to be a huge crack in the fissure because those Epstein files are never going to come out.
No.
The idea of compromise, the idea of having any government agency, whether it's our government or another country's government, having compromise on people is that they get to utilize it and leverage it. And the world functions on that compromise. And this isn't speculative. It's all out there. Do your homework. So to release the Epstein files is to negate years of compromise that's been developed that keeps the world going round. There's only so many people at the top. That's why I named the podcast Under the Influence, because I wanted to talk about all the different influence structures, not just getting below the surface of an influencer, but talking to influencers and talking about influencers. So I just think it's worth noting that when you look at all this stuff, like we have entered this weird era now where we are now dredging up things that have been long, kind of going back to what you were talking to your father about, but we're dredging up things now that have long been validated. Okay. And there has become this trend now of false intellectual curiosity. And people now have a desire to stoke hate and fear. It's kind of clickbait on the next level. And people are leveraging fear and fear-based ideas and hatred and anti-Semitism by questioning things that we already have answers to, but they're doing it in such a way that if you question their questioning, you will be immediately invalidated because you aren't being open to their idea. But the problem is their ideas bring nothing new to the table. They are recycled old goods that have long been vetted and debunked. And then the problem becomes when you really start to pay attention to those power structures at the top and you realize that everybody at the top, okay, is involved in all of these things that people are speaking out against. So when you talk about Jeffrey Epstein and sex trafficking minors, it doesn't know party line. It only knows money and power. And if you take the time to do your homework, you'll realize it's the same people that come up over and over and over again with the same people's money over and over and over again. And those are the people that control the media. And they don't necessarily control the media in an isolated, singular narrative sort of way. They control the media in the way that they're able to murky the waters and make people confused over basic concepts. So now it's really, really popular and trendy for the Ian Carrolls of the world to come out there and question the Holocaust ever existing. Okay. And he does it in this really clever way of, I'm not saying it didn't exist, but I am saying that we have more information than we ever had before, and we should look into it. And that's an absurd premise. That's an absurd premise, and it's dangerous. And those are people that know better. And if they don't know better, it goes back to your point about that article, Nick. If it's either you're ignorant, okay, or you're malicious. Or worse. And I would argue that when it comes to money, malintent doesn't factor in. It's all malintent when it comes to money. I mean, it's all driven by malintent. I mean, again, another episode. Do you know how many business decisions in this world were decided off of the ego between two men? Not because of what was best for the consumer?
Yeah. I mean, that's been the history, our country's history.
So, excuse me for the rant, but at the end of the day, you really have to meet people in the middle with a reasoned mindset, and you're not going to pull people over until the cracks start to show for them wherever their self-interest is. But once those cracks start to show, if you've already vilified people, they're not going to welcome your embrace when you ask them to come join you in the voting booth. So you got to be very careful with the vilification. I too find it very easy to say, oh, this one is really, really stupid, and that one doesn't know what they're talking about. And oftentimes that's the case. But if you want to strategize, then you actually have to look at it from the larger perspective again of where do these general elections, where do these presidential elections get decided? And they get decided in this very, very small sliver of middle class working voters in places like Bucks County, where Nick and I grew up. Okay. And these folks, they really are capable of voting either direction. But if they can't see your humanity, that will repel them. And they'll take anything else if they think you're phony. And that's what got Trump elected this last time. Because there's enough people that wanted change. They wanted something genuine. They didn't like it. All right. And a lot of those folks voted for Barack Obama. People vote on change and self-interest. And that's why everybody's definition of change is different. And if the Democrats really want to welcome people back across the aisle, okay, for the midterms, then you got to stop vilifying people who voted for somebody you don't like. Lenny Bruce said it best, and I'll misquote him, but I'm going to try anyway, Nick, and you could try to Google it really quick, and I'll vamp just to give you the heads up. But he said something to the effect, and it's in the article I posted on Substack the other day anyway, but liberals can understand anything but people who don't understand them.
It's a pretty valid point. And it's interesting because I know, like, I do try to understand people's point of views.
You don't? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm giving you a chance here to try and redeem myself. No, I mean, I really do. And again, like, I've had different conversations with my parents, and I get frustrated at the breakfast table over coffee and this and that. And I would then, you're like, you know what? Let me go try to understand where they're coming from. And I at times I do, at times I don't. Or I'll talk to someone randomly at a coffee shop or something, and I will, whatever the conversation may be, they'll say something, I might not agree with it. Is the first thing that comes to my head that they're stupid? No. But it's like, where is this coming from? And I do enjoy trying to find that. Like, I really will Google something like almost verbatim that they say, and then I'll see where those sources that are saying it. It's like, oh, they're getting misled and they're given bad information. And like, here's a little, like, this. I had a fire captain once. He once told me he told the whole company one day at roll call. He said, bad information is worse than no information. And that has stuck with me literally for 20 plus years. And it's probably the most truest thing that spans nearly everything, any topic imaginable. Bad information is worse than no information because it can lead to so many different rabbit holes and so many different outcomes that usually will not benefit the situation.
Well, it's funny because what's the old phrase? Ignorance is bliss. But the issue there is, you want to find that line of, okay, maybe you shouldn't even be in the sandbox, right? But also, you want to be persuasive because you're trying to bring people in, right? I mean, the Republicans are doing a really effective job currently still of bringing people into their party, and the Democrats continue to do a really good job of pushing people out of their party. But maybe instead of persuasion, maybe the Democrats should start with understanding and find common ground and let persuasion come naturally, and don't skip that step.
I think it's really important to see where people are coming from, and many people, I guess, are not open to that. And again, what we were talking about earlier, I'm not saying I'm ignorant and shut off to hearing other people's opinions. I totally am open to it, and I want to learn about where you are coming from if we disagree. And there have been times where, so I'll have a conversation with someone randomly on the street, at a bar, or like friends and whatnot, and we don't agree. And I will go and look up what they're talking about because I do want to understand where they're coming from. And ultimately, that I think is where we need to start heading. Ideally, I think that's what's going to make the difference. And again, try to bring both the left and the right, back together, hopefully somewhere in the middle. Because
I agree. We'll get there. I mean, look,
That's the sweet spot for this country.
yeah, and I think we have to start having those conversations and stop vilifying and actually have the hard conversations. And not everything is going to be easy. And it's okay to say you disagree. I was talking to somebody the other night, had a very long conversation with them, somebody I really enjoy talking to, and we got to a point in the conversation, and I was like, "Well, I'm sorry, I just don't agree." And they were like, "Well, that's all right." I was like, "All right."
Yeah.
You're like, "Okay." And it's
So
like,
we'll see.
you know.
Yeah, but yeah, so we'll see if I if I continue the book reports and history lessons with my father or not. I don't know.
I prefer to think of it as a debate. What I would like to do is, can we get your father to call in and debate you on the podcast?
I actually said like that would be an interesting podcast, but it would take a lot of work. There'd be a lot of senior moments as far as technically getting.
Oh no, but we wouldn't edit any of that out. No, it'd be live to tape. We would go through,
and it would.
see, like I know your dad. I know that I know the voice I want to do is not accurate, but it'd just be like, oh, what is the Bluetooth? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't think he has anything that's Bluetooth anyway. So the real problem would be trying to keep him awake and not falling asleep during.
Well, at least you know you'll win the argument. You just gotta outpace him.
Just bore him to death, and then I win. Yeah.
Earlier, before we started the show, I don't know what we were talking about, and Nick was like, well, I gotta crunch the numbers on that. And the next thing I know, and I was like looking away, I look over at the screen, and he's like chomping away at a calculator like something out of a cartoon. And I there was no receipt paper flying, but in my mind it was everywhere. And it was just like with a little green like accounting cap on.
I'll give him a noise. It's a big calculator with like legit old school computer keyboard buttons. So it's just like,
so maybe like to take that idea and run with it. You just get you like a whiteboard. You go like the Glenn Beck route. And you'd be like, Dad, look. So, and then you just start drawing lines, and he'll pass out. It'll be fine.
yeah. I'm sure we could try and figure something out.
What else you want to talk about?
I mean, that's kind of my list. I don't know when you want to wrap this up, but I did have one other little like a happy news article that I saw that I thought we could at least end on a positive, happy note.
I'm sorry, we're all out of time.
Already. Ugh. All right, thank you, everybody. No. Well, I'm doing it anyway, whether you press it or not.
Yeah, notice my hands are in my pockets, so go on.
You're at least going to have some good news on this one, folks. I saw an article, it was written maybe the end of last week, but after all of the fires around the Los Angeles area, actor Steve Carell said and gave students at some high schools that were directly affected by the wildfires, he bought many seniors or all the seniors of multiple schools their prom tickets, which I thought was pretty cool and generous of him. And it says, yeah, and it's saying like the prices range from $50 to $185 of a prom ticket. So I think that's pretty awesome. He's doing something nice for the kids and the people that are really directly affected. I thought it was kind of funny too, because like some of the students thought it was a prank or AI generated and stuff, because it's pretty damn good now, but they were wrong. So that's kind of like my happy news article to wrap this up.
In other news, Steve Carell just announced he'll be starring in the 42-year-old Virgin.
What?
Got to pay those bills.
Has it been? No, it would be like, it's got to be like the 57-year-old version.
Well, it's not true. It's not true.
No, I know that.
I know you know that, but it's somebody out there will believe it. They're already Googling. Believe me. No, I'm just joking that he's paying. If I have to explain the joke, it's not funny, and it was funny. Okay, but listen. All right. Steve Carell's a good dude. He's a rare breed. He's a really good dude. I can say that just from my own anecdotal experiences, and I just think he's just one of those guys that he deserves his success. It doesn't seem to have ever gotten to his head. He seems to be very level-headed, and it's a very commendable thing to do. I joke. There's no 42-year-old virgin. You're right, Nick. It would be like the 67-year-old virgin.
There are plenty. There actually might be some 42-year-old virgins.
Yeah, you're looking at one of them. I just think I wish there were more guys like that. I don't even think that was his PR that put that out. Like, he's not the kind of guy that does that. I don't think like I think that, I don't know how that got out there, but he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy to do that and then seek the PR, you know?
Oh, totally. I agree. And I think the fact that, again, the kids and the students thought it was like some sort of prank or whatnot, in and of itself, basically says like, it looks like he just posted it on, some social, whether it's Instagram or X or Blue Sky or Twitter, whatever, any of those. It looks like he just put it out from his house or his living room, a video, I guess, saying of like, hey, kid,
Oh, he did put out a video himself. Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, then it is a little bit like, I like, I'm not knocking him. I think it's fantastic still, but I just kind of like when
So he
people
did it
do
from
it
his
quiet.
house. It wasn't like, yeah, it didn't seem like an overly produced thing. And for all I know, that video may have been released or put out to the public by a school or
Where was he in his house?
I don't really know. It's tough to tell. You know how those mansions are out in LA? They're gigantic.
Well, let me tell you something. If he was anywhere near his kitchen, then he needs to check out the great deals he can get on Pampered Chef, because Pampered Chef has all the goodies from spatulas, mandolins, pots, pans, knives, coffee makers, deluxe air fryers. Go to pamperedchef.com/PWS/Colleen Herman. That's pamperedchef.com/PWS/Colleen Herman. So I'm just saying, if he's home, perfect time to go shopping. And also, if you live in Florida and you have no estate plan, if you have no will, you may be leaving those the most you love behind with high taxes, probate fees, and incomplete or divided estate and legal fights and fees. So again, if you live in Florida, Nick, contact RK Law for a free consultation to discuss your options and set up your future for those you love the most. RK Law, Russell at rklawpro.com, or call 786-566-2456. That's Russell at rklawpro.com. And of course, flashforge.com. Take home a 3D printer starting as low as $300 today. That's flashforge.com. Begin your 3D printing adventures right now. And while you're in that browser, Nick, go to the Theme Park Factory on Etsy. Take home a Joe Coconut plush or any of the fun 3D printed tchotchkes. We even had some new keychains and some other things on there. We're back to the Etsy shop, the Theme Park Factory. We've tried so many things over the years, but we're right back to the thing that works the most. The Theme Park Factory and the Substack. It's like the new website, newsletter, all great ways to support what we're doing here. I saw the segue. I took it, Nick.
It was perfect. I'm sorry I didn't realize to say kitchen for Steve Carell.
Apology accepted. This will also not be edited out.
I'll work on the lead-ins. I'll practice that.
I need like little paddles like the Democrats had at the State of the Union, but mine says kitchen.
Yeah.
Elon.
We're over that. No, we're over that stuff. We're done.
Oh, bring it back.
Today. No way.
I like the desk setup. I like the desk setup.
Nice. It feels professional. I'm kind of doing the same, but I did not have a good hair day, so.
Well, I like the colors. I like what's going on here more than the setup upstairs. I mean, everything's malleable right now. We're in a testing phase, but I like what we're doing here. Thank you for hanging out with me today. We have a lot more to do, and I have some thoughts on this setup, and it'll evolve. So, look, what can I say? It's an evolution. There's Substack, there's YouTube, there's Twitter, there's Twitch, there's all these things. I haven't been live in a minute. I'm well aware of it. It doesn't mean I'm not coming back. I'm just waiting to figure out what's going on with TikTok at this point. But Nick will tell you, we've been building some really, really fun stuff. I mean, it's just been exciting. So I'm looking forward to it. And final thoughts, Nick, I'll leave it to you. I'll let you close it out.
I just wanted to say, well, one, I love everybody. I really do. That's honest and truly from my heart. And Dad, I do love you too. Even though you might be a little stupid, I still love you.
Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
Look, I thought that was going to be like a sweet, like apology, and then I'm not apologizing for nothing.